It's laying all the way down to the access. It runs perpendicular.
On the GIS, it's all public.
It's all public.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So-called private.
That's what I was wrong.
But he's sure right.
Mr. Mason,
Let's plot by them.
It's been paid.
Right.
It was paid.
Yes.
If it's
thank
county,
you.
the county can do it.
Hear the rest of the room, okay?
Pave or private or public road.
It's considered
You're not
a road.
supposed to do it.
Be private.
I don't know. Do you know the county didn't pay?
They did.
I think they can pay them if they didn't. do it.
If you're online and you're not a planning commission member, please mute yourself.
It's repaid.
Right. We got it all.
Right.
Well, how are you?
How could you call it a private lane?
I think it just called private.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Chester,
Okay, thank you.
but you're not coming through the online scriptures, so give me a minute. Looks like it's that.
You have almond joy, do you want more? No, it's whatever.
Good.
If you're, hold on a second, you guys, I need to go back out of the meeting and
Hmm? Hello.
Getting rid of all the letters, I just.
Chester, could you please speak so I can see if you're coming over speaker?
Hello.
At least you can hear them online. Somebody said you're gonna have to talk about it tonight, sorry. I know you too.
Barry just.
Can you
doesn't
hear
want to
me?
Take roll calls. Let's do roll call votes.
All right, we're gonna call a meeting to order, so we ran just a little late, so. Roll call, members,
Good. Barry McManaway,
present.
Andy Strati,
Present.
Bill Samuelson,
Present.
Dan Osborne,
Present.
John Miller,
Present.
Chester Goot,
President,
Bob
can you
Cooper.
hear me?
We can't.
Yes,
Bobby Cooper's got a meeting.
Okay. All right, and Wayne,
he is out, he's doing interviews.
okay. Great.
Bring this closer. That's-
Opposite Dan. I think we just.
It's a flag
It's a
of
flag
the United
of the
States
United
of
States of
America,
America.
and to the republic
To the
for
republic
which it
for
stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Right, everybody had a chance to look at the minutes. December. Any questions or issues that we? I entertain a motion.
I motion that we go ahead and approve the December 20th, 2022 minutes.
Second.
First and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Roll call. No, mine, you got an aye.
We
You
have
opposed?
done this one.
For minutes.
Okay, okay.
Opposed? Amendment? Before we go on to the hearing, I know we have to appoint officers for positions January. So start out with secretary if we want to, so we know that they only can form.
I nominate Don Fox as secretary.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Okay, Carter's president, chair.
I nominate Barry McManaway for president.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes. And, okay, for vice president. Chair. And Strutting.
I nominate Andy Strady for.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, Chester even got his in there.
Aye.
Chester, thank you, Chester.
Thanks, Chester.
All right, so nobody have to change chairs. All right, hearing 2022-P-1000047. Application filed by Karla Thimjon to approve a replat of Lot 2, south half of Lot 3, in Medbourn Philips Addition, part of Southwest Florida, Section 21, Township 32, and North Range, address property 1146 South Street. Need to be a public hearing.
Don't know on replats. You could open a public hearing, I guess. I
Public
could,
hearing would happen.
I could do a sign sheet if you want to be safe about it.
I mean, this is just a replat. I don't know.
I mean, you can still hear from neighbors if there's someone to comment on it.
Right.
Certainly,
We would allow that.
yeah.
I'm not sure if it's on the replat. It seems like it is.
It's been published like a normal plan commission meeting would be.
But it's noted in the agenda as a hearing, so.
Well, Karen, I think Karen sent to neighbors on all of these.
Okay.
Yeah, so technically, well, let's do a signage. I'll get one.
I'll have a motion to start the public hearing.
Motion to open a public hearing on 2022-P-1000047. And for the record, can I skip all those and just do P17? We're good.
The minutes reflect that Mr. Sanderson moved out in the public hearing. And that, yeah, you're good.
I'll second that motion. Fair?
Aye.
Right. You want to present it?
I'd be happy to.
Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, my name is Bernie Feeney. I'll be representing almost all the petitions on the agenda this evening. In this particular case, I'm representing Mrs. Thimjon, who is the owner of the property that we've shown. This replat is for the purpose of combining the lots. There are 3 parcels, a full-size lot, half of a lot, and then a lot with a letter designation on it. That lot is the result of the railroad vacating the property years and years ago and converting it into lots and selling it to all the adjacent owners. The Timian property goes all the way from South Street down to Lake Maxinkuckee. And this is just a combination of the three parcels that represent everything that they own. There are no immediate plans for improvements on the property, but they want to put the property into that configuration so that at a later time, if they decide they need to, they can.
Okay, so this is, is just adding the Hill Railroad property and combining it.
Right, and just combining everything into
Back
one.
the way it was originally before.
Right. Now, Mrs. Timian is here tonight if you want to ask any questions of her, but by and large, that's pretty much what you're going to hear.
Bernie, I have two questions.
Yes,
First of all, I want to make sure I get your last name spelled correctly.
Feeney.
F-E-N-E-Y. And then the second one, are there any improvements on the properties now? Are they?
There are current improvements on the property.
Okay, and what are those?
Resident,
Oh, okay.
This is on the property that's being combined with.
yes,
Right, we're not putting, combining with two
no,
structures.
no, this is all property for one resident.
Okay. Questions?
Seems like we're just cleaning it up.
Chester, have anything? Not loud enough.
Any questions, Chester, on this replat?
No,
Turn them.
Sorry, what designation, would this be an L1?
Yes,
Yeah.
zoning is L1.
Okay.
Because. But you have three lots,
Three parcels
three parties.
that we're combining into one lot.
Oh, the whole thing's gonna be one lot. Then what's all that? Okay. So wait to,
The parcels are all L1 now?
Yes,
Okay.
you're out. Public comment. Questions? Anybody online have anything? Questions, whatever, but. Close the public hearing.
A motion to close the public hearing? Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Chester, did you vote in favor of closing the public hearing?
aye.
Thank you.
Self, I see no problem with this. Right, okay.
It's something that we've always approved, that we like combining this. We're basically cleaning it up.
Actually, just transfer the products back to the.
Correct. Correct.
It's staying out one.
Go ahead.
This time.
I'll make a motion to leave the combining of the three lots into one lot.
Second.
First and second. Every,
It's just when we'll have to do a roll call. Make it clean.
okay, covered, ready? Aye.
I,
Aye. Chair votes aye.
Aye.
On the box, Chester?
Aye.
That's the second.
Fishing by any faster, so.
I think it's paid by the word.
If you do, we get paid for you.
The really bad rate, okay?
It's been. Okay. Good, thank you.
Okay, moving on, we got a hearing 2022 -P-1000049. Application filed by England Philips Wightman, J. Feeney, on behalf of Andrew and Susan Northrop to approve a replat of Lot 12, west 25 feet of Lot 11. Address of property 404 East Lakeshore Drive and East Lakeshore Drive.
Is that the old research house?
Yeah, I think so.
We need a motion to
Yeah,
open.
that's fine.
I motion that we open the public hearing.
Have a motion to open public hearing.
Guys, you want to vote on public hearing, opening it?
Second.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll take that as a yes, but you're on.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got first and second. All right. In favor? Aye.
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 Okay.
Sorry about that.
Aye. Go ahead.
Again, Bernie Feeney here on behalf of Mr. and Mrs. Northrop. Purpose of this particular plat is to combine lots so that the Northrops can add on to their house at the corner of Lakeshore and Lakeview.
Lot is 4 different lots. Or like how it looked like it would.
It was bought as 2 lots.
Okay. Well, I just saw that line right there. That's what I was looking for.
Oh, this is building,
That's really.
building setback on it,
Yeah.
based on the ordinance.
Okay.
And again, this is a replat to combine those 2 lots.
That was 2 lot, yeah. 11 and 12.
Correct.
See, just to give me margins, let's see that.
Yes.
This is the line they're adding to the list. And so this is. Then there's property on just in 2 lots. And,
This property has been 2 lots. The deed was originally, the deed that the Northrop got was originally for 2 lots. It's in the Vandalia addition. And I believe that addition was platted in the late 1800s. So
which we still got property that way. Where else could? All right. We can put. Anybody have any questions or anything?
Any comments from the public? Because it is a public hearing.
Right, if we want to go through this.
Well, my question was, Mr. Feeney?
Feeney,
There's been a real controversy with this property as far as the fence goes.
I understand that.
And
That
there's,
was something I learned of just recently.
yeah, and it's been kind of put on us quite a bit by the adjacent property owner, and I feel that something needs to be done with that before, at least in my opinion, that I can approve this. And I don't know if you can address that tonight or.
I'd like to hear what Mr. Berger has to say as the adjacent property owner.
Sure.
And then, I'll jump in after he's said his piece.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Anything else, or we'll go ahead and address it now, we can. Mr. Berger, if you'd like to.
Sure. I owned a property at 412 Lakeshore Drive, which is half of lot 11 that's being taken there. You guys know the history. I brought this up when the fence was first installed. It was not conforming to the ordinance. And for whatever reason, part of it, I'm giving Chuck the benefit of COVID, it didn't get handled when it should have. So it's gone on past there. What I'm asking is that the fence be brought into compliance. Basically, it is not supposed to extend past the front setback at the height that it's at. And if it does extend past the front setback, it's supposed to have 50% visibility. So I would be happy if 2 sections come off of it, and that would take care of the problem, or if they want to rebuild it to be in compliance with the ordinance. I don't have a problem with that. I just want it brought into compliance.
Y'all know I had to this too a little bit because I know at the time that it was found, it was going to be corrected when a C of O was issued to this particular property. But it was sold prior to getting a C of O, which the county and the building commissioner both would have been in regards to that, to know that it was being transferred hands and that the fence would have had to been rectified as far as the ordinance. But since that happened, and it was just kind of hard to get to the issue where who would be involved. But I know the issue does need to be because it brought by trying to get fines issued or whatever, but new owners, we didn't feel like the new owners would have been responsible for fines, which it would be applicable.
I guess my feeling is that doesn't change the non-compliance,
Exactly.
and this is an opportunity to clean that up.
And here this board feels the same way. Anything can correct the problem that was addressed back then, we need to catch back up.
So, can I speak as the homeowner?
Yeah.
This is the very first time I have ever heard of this. We've been the homeowners since July 2020. This is the first time I've ever been made aware of that, other than a neighbor letting me know that the fence was extending further and was brought back to be in compliance. I had one neighbor make that passing comment to me. That's a friendly neighbor. But I've never heard of this, and I don't know that you're there. Like, I don't think we've met because it's like kids coming in and out of there, or young people. So I've never heard this. And we are very friendly people, so I wish it had been brought to
Part
our
of this is
attention.
because it wasn't, original issue was not with you as the current homeowner, it was with the previous. So at the time I brought it to the planning commission and felt like that was the proper channels to go through.
I see.
So I've got no problem with you and the fence has been maintained, but it's not in compliance. So I'm just asking it to be brought into compliance.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, my husband isn't here. I hate to speak for him, but I have no problem bringing it into compliance. I really had no idea. So I wish I had known.
Right. Good, but it was in respect to you, why it wasn't even brought to you.
If I may make a suggestion on this matter. If the plan commission so chooses, it might be easiest to approve this tonight, subject to the Northrops bringing the fence into compliance. That way, the complaint that has been previously lodged by Mr. Berger and before the Northrops were aware of the problem, then this can be recorded once that has taken place, and we don't have to come back here again a second time.
I agree 100%. I think
I don't have a problem with that at all.
Great.
Yeah.
Can I get from someone a record of what compliance is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep sending that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.
it's fairly easy.
With the date.
Are you happy with that, Jim?
I'm happy with that, but I would like some inclusion of a date. You know, and it can be 4 months from now, but just some kind of a date that it will be brought into compliance within this amount of time.
I guess what, are you comfortable with the time frame here? I know you said your husband's not here, but you know,
Yeah.
can you kind of speak on his
Sure.
behalf, saying that we can have this done by May or June or whatever? I mean, give you some nice weather to work with it.
Right, I think it depends on the contractor and availability to have somebody do it, right? So the contractors that we have typically been working with are usually 3 to 4 months out. But I would say, you know, if we could have until June or the end of June, that would be
I'm
plenty
fine
of
with
time
it.
if
Just-
they are stacked up with outdoor projects.
Yeah, you just want the date on paper, just to show.
To be honest, it's a small project. It's
It's
not.
very light.
Contractor, so I would say August, because contractors around here won't always be the small project.
Yeah.
I
We
want
have to have a
longer.
list of them for them to come out.
Yeah, I don't want till end of summer.
He might suggest that you explain the situation to him, that, you know, this replat is contingent upon the completion of this fence being taken care of, and it's, you know,
I gotcha. Mhm.
yeah.
Well, we have a few we work with, so we'll just see who's available first,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I want to make sure it's somebody that can do a good job with it.
As long as there's a date, like.
So it's that,
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
We just need some resolution because it's.
right, I understand, it's, Kevin's gone on long enough, we get
And
that.
I'm not, I'm nothing against. the law.
I know,
I
yeah.
just
Yeah,
clean it up.
reiterate that as well, because we're not.
Now, we have a dog and an invisible fence, is that okay? I'm gonna see the dog around this weird.
Visible.
It doesn't go out in it.
An invisible dog, I want to see that. Give me that invisible dog.
That would be good.
You can't see the invisible dog.
But it can't go out.
Come on, let's have fun with that.
The invisible dog can't go out in the middle of the road.
I would hope not.
Yeah. Let me know if you see that.
Yeah.
I've worked for them a couple of times, it's dangerous.
You ready to close the public hearing?
A motion to close the public hearing? Second.
Yeah, first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. I see problem with this at all. Nobody's agreement, there's no opposition to this, so.
So, just to clarify, so an appropriate motion here would be to approve the replat with all the verbiage in between, which is subject to, the fence, adjoining Kevin's property being brought into compliance by, we said August, so the end of August. Okay, of course. Which, you know, will happen. These are in August, 3.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's what you don't make the motion in.
Yeah, I can do that. To approve the replat of lot 12, et cetera, as proposed, subject to the fence being brought into compliance by August 31, 2023.
Second.
And then second. All in favor?
We need to vote on that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think it's just a roll call vote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
So,
Yes, you're ready?
It's not one.
sorry.
Yes. Mr. Miller?
Yes.
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 Mr. Rose? Brandon Manaway says aye. Don?
Yeah, aye.
Chester?
Aye.
And- All right. Then let's do that.
Give me just a moment here to get that verbiage down or remove references to the individual dog.
Good night.
No.
I do appreciate that though, honestly, because I know it has been a problem for Kevin. It's going on a few years
Okay.
since the other owner
Yeah.
do it.
I'm so sorry.
No,
I
no,
really didn't.
no.
I mean.
And it's nice to meet you.
But honestly,
Probably should have sent a letter.
former building commissioner said he had talked to you too, so that's part of this issue. So, yes, he was.
Yeah, he came and inspected our basement and he looked at our rocks to make sure that was in compliance, but he never mentioned the fact.
He told us here that he had, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. No, because we're super honest people, you know.
So if you run into problems finding a contractor, I think there's one in the room that would probably accommodate you pretty darn quick.
Really?
Right there.
Who's that?
This contractor. Right.
My company is Easter Day Construction here.
No way.
Do you want it done next week? Done next week?
Well, how
Gonna have
far
lamp on to it tonight.
scheduled?
There you go.
Like, is it still bad? You know, the
Yes,
scheduling of,
we are busy, but as Dan said, I would try to take care of it.
with a sledgehammer or with?
No, chainsaw.
Dynamite. But this is
Oh,
recorded.
Wow, okay, let me write that down. I've been using
Typed in, put something on.
Yes.
Well, your third case, this case, he just stepped out for a moment, but for this third case, I had provided Jim a hard copy of the documents I found on that road. It's not near this part of the road. Jim has not given me a response, but I figure depending on what you do here, because he's the county attorney, he can always respond with whatever recommendation goes to the county. So I just wanted to update you on that.
Say that again.
Wait, we have to open the meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's open this up.
We do that.
We got a bunch of questions here.
Well, we should like, to say it first, but.
Let's go ahead and move to open the public hearing.
I motion we open the public hearing, PC 023.
Be a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Mr. Feeney, if you want to proceed.
This is a petition to vacate a small section of road that was platted along with a subdivision previously. This particular section of road has not been used as a road for public transportation for over 70 years. So we are, on behalf of Mr. and Mrs. Sturman, the property owners on both sides of that street, asking that this road be vacated. I have an affidavit that was presented to you by Chuck, I believe, at the last meeting, signed and sworn to by Isabella Fulton, indicating that this roadway had not been used for 51 years to her knowledge. And she was an owner of it along with her father before her. So that's what her affidavit was based on for that 51-year period. The road that we're asking to dedicate has not been used for a substantial period of time. We are asking that it be taken off of the public roads and put back into private hands again. It will
Right, yes.
then begin to generate taxes for the county, for the town, and we'll clear this mess up out there that the Sturmans are experiencing at this point. It will start to aggregate their property. I heard the question before the meeting, and I'll address it right now. This will not stop access that anybody has to a public road. The pieces of property to the south, as I mentioned in the October meeting, when I presented this, are owned by Sturman family members as well. And those pieces of property access east to,
Or no?
east Lakeshore Drive and come out onto 110
Yes, one.
at that point.
Right.
And that roadway is between the parcel that is to be vacated and the Marina Drive to the east.
I went there back whenever it was first brought up in the night, and I look back, and the only question I came up with as far as where this goes, I mean, I could see why it would actually be a problem, but when it goes on past, you're talking about the family's property back here, which was this intended, and you probably don't know, but was it intended to come all the way back to this other road at one
The only,
time?
I can only guess,
And that's what I could only do as well.
and based on my experience with these types of plats, somebody might have left that there for an addition to the south. It's the only possible explanation that really makes any sense, is that they were expecting additional development further to the south, and that road was left there so that that could happen.
So actually, they would have it continuing from here to here.
Sure. Exactly.
But does this easement still go across the other property? It already ends right here.
That was all that was dedicated with that plat, only to the south line of all of these lots across here.
Okay, so it was never designated any of the properties on this side here.
Not to my knowledge.
And do you know who it actually belongs to? Is it the county? I mean, you were saying something about the county before.
At this particular point in time, it belongs to the county. This isn't,
It's
this
just in our
hasn't been,
zoning area, but it's not
Right.
our road, it's the county's road.
it hasn't been annexed into the town.
Right.
So this is a county road. What we are asking for in this petition, and I'll reiterate this from the October meeting, is that we are asking for your recommendation, your favorable recommendation to the county commissioners.
Okay, that's what I was leading forward to. And I mean, we couldn't vacate it.
No, you can't.
And so, and that,
It was-
and I
and-
want to know where the proper channels were, because if it was from somebody else,
Even if it were, even
we
if
could,
that,
because it was in our zone. But I just want.
even if that piece of property belonged to the town of Culver, it would then go to the town council.
Right, yeah, I'm aware of that, but I just want to make sure that we were going
Sure.
And if,
through the right process, I guess.
Right,
and will this go in front of the county commissioners or the county council?
county commissioners.
And then to the county.
Yeah, when it came to Chuck and Karen, they did some homework and made calls and found out you all made the recommendation to the commissioners. Since
And
It's
we
in our
always
zoning
would have to, if
area.
we go to.
Even though it's not our property. Or even
It's in
though-
our zoning though.
It's in your
It's in our zoning, but so they want our recommendation before. But they can go and have to take our recommendation, they can decide what they want.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
But they don't want to look at overreach, so they prefer a favorable one. Right.
But I mean, they as well, commission and Marshall County Commission would still have to take it to the council as well.
Because.
No, actually, the county council or the county commissioners are the final determinant on whether or not this is to be vacated.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So Jenny, what you were starting to tell us about
Oh,
interactions
right.
with.
So at one point, when this first came to you all, I think Kevin Overmeyer, as president of the commissioners, for some reason, he knew about this coming to you. He may have seen it on an agenda or something, I don't know. And did some research. There's an easement agreement on a different part of East Shore Lane between two neighbors. And that was the paperwork I produced last time. I have since turned that over to Jim Clevenger to see if he had any opinion, because we weren't sure what to make of it. He's not giving me a response, knowing that this is going to commissioners next. He's the county attorney. I figured he can weigh in at that point if he's going to weigh in on that. And then in the meantime, I only had, since you're in a public hearing, I did have one person write in about this, a letter It's very short. Hi Jenny, hope you're well. This is from Mr. Mike Elwood and his wife Christine, and they have a property at 2517 East Shore Lane and also 2502 East Shore Lane. Christine and I will not be at the hearing tomorrow, but we have no objection to the proposed application to vacate by Jason and Molly Sturman. Look forward to catching up with you soon when we're back in Culver. He had called me and asked for a graphic visual to see where this was at. So Mr. Feeney had provided that to me. I've sent it to him because his concern was it might be Edward Lane. He wasn't sure which road or which piece. So once he figured that out, he felt like he should write in and support the project.
Right, and I want to be very specific because this is brought up at the October meeting when this was originally discussed. This in no way affects anyone's lake access through Edward Lane.
Right, there was a letter, I think at that time, somebody objected to how somebody.
Because they were under the mistaken impression that we were going to block Edward Lane with the vacation of this property. And you can see from the graphic that I provided, and the hatched area that we're proposing to vacate is south of Edward Lane there and doesn't affect its location at all.
But in a physical presence, don't they already have a fence up across that private?
They do.
It's a gate, it's like a gate.
Yeah.
It's a gate, so it's being treated like it already is part of the property.
And that is not a mistake.
No, I don't know.
We're just saying,
I'm
for
just
51
saying.
years, it's not been used.
Right.
How much has it been blocked so people couldn't use it?
Honestly, there's also a tree that's in that easement.
But the bottom line is that fence has been there since before we surveyed it.
Mhm.
Now, we surveyed it sometime between 2019 and the present, okay? So that fence was an old fence then.
Yeah.
I remember driving through that like 30 years ago when I used to mow around the lake.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it wasn't much of a road then, it was so much.
Yeah, and since it is a public hearing, I will say that I did talk to the neighbors to the north, but Sturman were not there at that time. They were adamant about, you know, they think it's a good idea, you know, that it has been a problem for them. And they were speaking for Sturman, so.
But this will not in any way affect the neighbors to the north. It does not affect their portion of that roadway.
And they stated that, so, I mean, I'm doing that for the record, I know that I actually talked to them.
Are we setting a precedent if we approve this, that they can keep going, they can stair step this all the way down and try to do the
It
same?
always comes before you guys.
And I'll try to always do the same thing.
It always
So in
comes
other
before
words,
you guys.
that road could be shut off to, even though it is a private lane, it's not.
Exactly,
You know,
exactly.
and-
Somebody put up a sign, private
Right.
lane, to keep people from me, and I've seen that sign, so I don't go down there.
Right, yeah.
I don't go down there just because it's hard.
And
to
that's
get in.
exactly why I don't go down there, because of that private lane sign.
Because it's been paved recently,
And
and the county didn't do it. So they're actually considering it their own private.
But there's
lane.
still a public landing now.
Well, no, I know that. I'm just saying,
But if
all
they're-
these people it's like their private road, and it's not. That's the point I'm trying to make.
But the fact is that they're going out there and putting asphalt down for the county.
Yeah, but I just don't know if you can go out and pave a county road without their permission. Is my
Really?
point. Is my point.
I don't think there'd be any gripe on their part, though.
Well, I don't think there is either. It's actually a very shabby job as far as I'm concerned.
That's the problem. with
If
paving the
I
county
lived
road.
in there and that was done, they'd be tearing it up.
I saw that too.
Yeah, did you see that? Yeah.
I mean,
All right.
as far as I'm concerned, it's like a dead space and get it on
It
the
is.
tax rolls.
And we have no public here. If we want to bring that before the public, anybody online? Chester, do you have anything?
No,
Kevin?
Just to clarify your question a little bit earlier, we did a bunch of work with the Parkers that own the property to the south of there, including a subdivision of that was done with Bernie's former employer, from the plan surveying. Nothing showed up with any easements or anything continuing on past that. So.
I couldn't find anything on that, but I thought,
The Parker property was one big piece there that kind of blocked that off, so I don't think there was anything there.
I mean, it looked like the easement was started, and if they need it, they would already have.
I think that was the
it there to
intention. A lot of times
continue
on
on
plats,
to the
they
other
require
road.
you to take it to the edge of your property so the next property owner can pick it up if they want to.
Right.
That's pretty common, but I'm just saying that from the history, there was not anything there. Nothing came up in that survey or that replat that showed anything going on further south, so it's not affecting anything to the south.
All right, I'll motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, sorry,
I'm sorry. Who moved?
I did.
Thank you.
Who seconded?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chester said aye.
Aye.
Chester's motion was to close the public hearing.
Aye.
In my opinion, this is cleaning up a mess that should, I won't say it shouldn't have been there, but had no longer had its purpose. That's just my opinion, but
Do you want to hear if Chester's gonna take on it?
yeah, there's opportunity. Chester, you have anything to add to this, or?
No.
Right. No further discussion, I entertain a motion. This is to recommend.
Yeah, I would just say I have no issue with the vacation as such, but I really would like to put on the commissioner's plate how somebody can put a sign up that says private lane on a public road. Yes, and it's not. And the intent is clear. The intent is, if you don't live here, don't ride your bicycle down this road, don't
Right.
drive your car down this road, or look at the lake shore.
Right.
And I got a serious issue with that.
I do as well,
Taxpayers' road.
but I don't want to be putting something off either. But wouldn't that sign that's put on that road start from East Shore all the way down to this point? And this point right here, there's no private lane sign on this, and it wouldn't be pertaining to this at all.
I mean, and it's just in terms of what the communication I think should be to the commissioners.
I think it ought to be
Which
on
shouldn't
before.
prejudice the Sturmans at all. But
Right.
if you're gonna have that sign up, then, and they approve the vacation of this property, then you'd move it down to that gate next to the Sturmans. That's when the private lane would actually start. It doesn't start there, just past the Henderson's house.
I guess I would also like clarification, verification that Edwards Lane runs to the lake. Correct?
Yeah, that's a public access.
But it does. I
There's
mean,
no doubt about that.
It shows.
Even though it's not used.
On this, actually, that Edwards Lane does go to the lake.
So that is a
And that is
public
the land.
access.
That's a public access. You can launch your boat there. I don't know if there's a lot of room to park.
But when you were talking about the turnaround,
That's,
being able.
well, you got
to
that cutout there.
You have
might be
got
able to get one.
the East Shore, and you've got Edwards Lane, East Shore going right there at the same time. I mean, everything's three corners. It's kind of
Yeah.
odd where the Sherman property is as far as on the corner.
If you look where that, you go up there, Edwards Lane, and that first right is a road called private lane.
Yes.
That's a public road.
And I know, and that's where the sign is.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, the sign is over here on the other side.
Yes.
Yeah, the one by Henderson's one. They have another one too. Is there one coming in from Edwards Lane, saying it's private?
And they've got one down there by Edwards
Lane
Lane.
is private lane. At least on the.
Technically, we have a sign ordinance,
We do have a sign ordinance,
and within our zoning area, right?
right?
Yes.
Which has a.
Technically, you can't
The
put
building
the
commissioner
sign.
could go take the sign down.
Building commissioner can remove that sign.
I would like to be there if that
Do you
goes
need
out.
Oh I'm a little short. I might have to.
Oh, if you
I've
need an extra
removed
set
a
of
lot of
hands.
I think
signs.
Bob, I think you need some bottles there in the morning and take it
But
down.
you do have the authority to remove that sign. But if it's done, if it's on a county road right away, then
First, I should just confirm the county didn't put it there. It's violating our ordinance. Remove it.
that's where you
You
go.
take down ones on the state highway.
As a courtesy to the landowners, I would also, I would send them all a notice to, hey, you know, we have determined that this is, you know what I'm saying? Just as, so they're not, they don't get up in arms about it. Or wonder where it went, somebody might, so they might, think somebody stole it.
Well, at least to whatever property it's on.
I just know before, we've had
Right.
signs right there, 17 and 110 at the corner, off over that pole and stuff, and a lot of that stuff is left alone because of the state. But it was outside of the town limits as well, which that is as well. And so a lot of times,
Just give me a heads up.
Part of the zoning ordinance.
but it's still,
Sign
according to
ordinance is
zoning,
part
it's
of
still in the
ordinance,
zoning,
is within our
whether it's
zoning
state highway or
jurisdiction.
toll road.
I've been pulling up commercial signs and people are advertising mattresses for sale. I pull those. I pulled my car one day with 35 signs, and that was while Chuck was still here. This to me
I've reviewed
violates
2
ordinance.
drywall signs that kept them back, but
Okay.
so are we wanting stipulation in that, is what you're saying, Don, or just,
No, I don't want
It's a
stipulation,
recommendation.
but I think we could, here's just a thought on how to proceed, which is, let's just, vote a clean recommendation to the commissioners to approve the Sturman's request. And then maybe we do a separate resolution that we would like for the town manager / acting building commissioner to determine, one, are we correct, is GIS correct, that in fact Edwards and what's labeled private lane is really short, in fact, are public. If that's the case, then, you know, resolve the acting building commissioner should take steps to have those private lane signs removed.
Yes, that
So
can be
should we-
part of our new,
we should do it in two recommendations.
Two things, yeah.
I don't want to see disturbance.
No,
I don't
no,
want to see
I'm-
the-
I'm not
Right, yeah,
linking
no,
that.
it's a separate issue here.
I want 2 separate
It's
issues.
a 2 separate issues, so we have, we'll deal
All right,
with that
so
as new
we'll-
business.
All right, so
Like
I would
the
entertain a motion
Vice
at this
Chairman
time
said.
for this thing as far as the alley.
I had a different thought about that. It's a private alley that they've kind of taken over. Are they just getting it dissolved or are they going to buy it?
This is
That'll
being
be up to the county,
dissolved.
really.
Once it's dissolved,
Right,
it
that's
becomes their property. It's a right of way.
It was dedicated by the original plat
Mhm.
and the owners of the property at that time. It then became county right of way. There is no purchase, no give, no take. What we're doing by the vacation of the property is returning the property to its original owners or their descendants. And that particular portion of the roadway, which was taken for public use, is not being used for public use. So we're returning it to the owners, half of the right of way to each side. And in that manner, because Thurman's own on both sides, they're getting the whole thing.
Mhm.
So it's being returned to the place where it came from.
To the rightful property.
Exactly.
Yeah, not the owner,
Mhm.
it's the property itself.
So this is not an easement. It is in fact an actual right of way owned by the county. Actually, not owned by the county, but
Yeah,
way
see,
too
that's-
fine a point
if
on
you're talking
that.
about like taxes and stuff like that, that means, it makes it sound like it's currently
Well,
in a wishy-washy
when
area.
you're talking
It is
about
currently not being
Tax, I was
taxed
gonna say it's not being taxed.
Mhm.
It's a county.
because it is the county's, right?
County
Right.
right away, so
It
it's
would-
not being taxed.
But it would be taxed if it reverts to Sturman's, and it would increase. the
Absolutely,
value of their property.
yes.
Right.
Yes.
Now, how you determine the value of that, who knows?
Well, it
Somebody else will
becomes,
That's the way, yes.
Beyond my pay
how many,
They'll be back to you for a recombination like the earlier ones.
right, it's more likely, but then they got 2 residences on those 2 properties.
And the assessor will be responsible for determining the value.
We have 2 residents on, one on each
So how many plots is this? I mean, is it,
There's 2 plots, well, as far as with that alley. Is that actually right now? I mean, it goes through just the one property, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
When the commissioners vacate the street there,
right,
it will go partly to the lot with the asphalt and partly to the Sturman house that fronts on the lake.
because right now, they only use this for access to their driveway, basically. You know, they don't go past out the year or whatever.
Well, their driveway doesn't even use that
No.
for access. Their driveway
Yeah, because they're
comes
using-
over to the asphalt here
Right.
and then comes on out to Edwards.
That's what I'm saying, they come out here on this, but you don't have
Right.
access to the houses across the, right.
Exactly.
They have to cross the right of way.
Right.
Get up their driveway to the garage, whatever.
not good?
Any other questions? Chester, you have any questions or comments?
No.
If the board sees fit, I'd entertain a motion one way or the other.
I will move to recommend that the commissioners vacate the property in question.
Second.
Got a first and second. Mr. Strang?
Aye.
Mr. Moore? Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Osborne?
Nay.
Nay. Mr. McNally says yes.
Aye.
Chester?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right. Now, to address the other, as far as the recommendation to look at the signs, or do you want to just do it under your authority?
I'm happy to go attend the next commissioner meeting and clarify this, send them a memo ahead of time, explaining that the planning commission had a question on this, and as building commissioner, I'd like them to clarify that for us. And do I need to attend a meeting or, and get back to you guys when we get an answer, and then we'll enforce based on that answer.
Okay. Right. That is in the minutes.
And I do respect the communication idea that you came up with. If we do end up enforcing what we think is the case, we will communicate with the neighbors there. And I think it was you, Dan. Joel or Danny, you came from that direction.
I'll take credit. I'll take that the right direction.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
My pleasure.
All right. Moving on, TRC review.
Yeah, do you want them to sign your documents so
Oh, yeah.
you can go, or do you,
Only,
Just that
This
one.
one
only
right
the
here?
Timian.
Okay, I think it's just you two have to sign, right? That's what I thought.
And to be honest with you, Jenny, I don't,
Don knows that he-
I think once the sign is down,
Do you need
or
to-
the fence is down,
Okay,
and-
two copies, huh?
I'm sorry,
Do you need 2 copies or just one?
just the one.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, I have Susie's contact info, so I
Okay,
can send her an email confirming this decision, and I'll send her the fence ordinance page, so they know.
and then, once they let me know or you know, I can go ahead and get this to you. Rather, unless you want to hold on to it until,
I'm thinking we should probably have Barry stay in the loop on that, because I'm not gonna be here, probably after 4 to 8 weeks.
okay, understood. Why don't I just keep it then and wait until I get word that the fence is down?
Okay, that sounds good.
And then I'll bring it over and we can arrange for signatures.
Okay, that sounds good.
I can bring coffee and donuts.
Usually we sign two.
It sounds like she's gonna get right on it, so.
TRT report.
We do not have any new ones since you guys reviewed them in December.
And I
I
did get the
suspect we're gonna have
minutes.
a couple more coming up soon.
We did
but-
get the minutes though for the last two meetings. I got
You don't, you guys don't technically need to approve the TRC
No.
minutes, but
It's just some information that the minutes, and just so that they would go in the book and that Don would say that the minutes were presented to the planning commission. And I can read them if you want to make it official. So desired. And I'll pass it around.
I was gonna say, I don't think we need to
I don't think
do
it's
it.
really necessary. If somebody wants to.
These are the prior minutes.
Yeah, I
Prior
think I
minutes.
sent
It's from,
electronic files out, and if not, I'll send them to you.
They're actually the ones, I think the last one was in. Someone in December.
Yeah, early December. So I sent them to you guys for your December meeting.
I don't think, I mean,
Yeah.
one of them was Skyline Builders that came in because they had to get a TRC meeting for demolition permit, which they used to have to go through two separate, but that's been fixed since
Yeah,
then.
the town council approved you guys changing that, all your modifications that have been approved. So I've sent those to Ty Adley so that at least at the county level they know.
Okay, and as well as
And then
the,
he'll update your electronic copy of the ordinance for the website.
The backyard setback.
Yep.
The backyard, so.
backyard on
And then the Culver Citizen changes.
and the citizen change. And as far as next thing anyways, old business and new business. And I know some of the old business is actually new business because we're talking about some things that I would like to see us address sometime this year. But I'd like to review some of the thoughts, because I know Chuck and I and several of us were involved trying to create a new ordinance, which we were talking about institutional ordinance, zoning. And then that would be for the schools as well. Academy school is a school. And I mean, there's been a lot of talk about that, and we can review that, but I just want to say that I'd like to try and move forward, because I think that is a definite move forward. And we've got other things to look at. We've still got other ordinances that we feel like we need to correct. We found some, I'll call it stone walls, almost, because of, I'd say, not necessarily ambiguity, but the ordinance is one case is not the same as in another case, and it doesn't apply in some ways to other. And it has caused a lot of confusion as far as moving ahead with permits, even through the county. That's been, slower than normal due to processes requiring certain things that I think could be a one-step thing instead of a three-step thing. But anyway, I just appreciate everybody's service here. Great. I mean, I'm glad people stayed on and hoping to renew.
When you were talking about permits, one thing Karen Heim and I talked about was with Plan Commission and BZA applications, it might be quicker to allow people to do those in person here in the office. Because with the online version, it's convenient for people out of town, so I don't want to lose that aspect, because we do have a lot of people go for variance who are out of town and they have to fill it out online, but that system pings us then to say, oh, this person filled it out, go review it, Ginny. I do, and Ty does, and then it goes back to them to say, okay, now you can pay for it, and and a lot of times it can be a week or two for those things to occur, because one, I have to notice it, Ty has to notice it, and they have to notice they got an email to pay for it, and we have to know. And so I haven't been real strict about saying, you better get this paid the day before the meeting, and also I haven't been strict about, I've published some notices for your meetings to keep them going, rather than go, if you don't have that application fully filled out, I'm not publishing your notice. If I have the information I need, I'm going to publish the notice, because that needs to be done way ahead of the meeting. So we're thinking we want to go to a hard copy system to here, that someone could just come in, fill it out, boom, I get the notice out, or Karen gets the notice out, and they can literally pay us right then and there. Because right now, if they pay us here, we have to send it to the county, and it comes back to us. So, and it makes sense how it's set up there for the online person, but it doesn't make sense when someone comes in to talk to me about a case. I'd love to be able to fill it out right then and there with them while I'm looking at their plan, because otherwise I gotta go online, open up, download the files. Kevin could come in for a client and we could do it right then.
Yeah, and in that case too, the other part of that is, a lot of this is coming online, Ty added, whatever, it goes back. And we've got 2 members on this board that are on the BZA, and a lot of times we don't have time to even know what the variance is for before we get to the meeting. And it's happened more now than it used to in the past, but.
Yeah, I try to let you know a week ahead at least of that meeting.
Right.
But there are times that, depending on the customer end or what's going on there, I can see why that was difficult. But it would be a lot easier if we could take care of it in person right away if we need to.
Right. And I know, it has happened, this is a matter now, but I know it happened before that Chuck would get that. And so we would get it on the agenda. And then we'd do some process it done and it had to come back off the agenda.
Yeah.
And we've got the information.
And it's probably because he forgot to publish the notice.
Well, regardless of that, but yeah.
Or
but
he
there is
decided they
changes,
didn't pay. I don't have the same issue on the pay. It's like, I'm not gonna do my thing to the permit system to sign off until that check has arrived. And Ty won't either, so there's a way to stop it. Just because they've been here doesn't mean you can't stop it.
If I could make one suggestion that would make it easier for us. We've done a number of plats here. You know our name, and as Plymouth Land Surveying, we did a number of plats as well. If the town could accept credit cards, with the conversion to Wightman, it becomes a tremendous pain to get a check out of Benton Harbor and get it down here.
Right.
I can pay with a credit card same day.
We can do that through PayGov.
Okay.
I don't know how they do it with the online county stuff, but if you're trying to pay us directly right now, it's really an issue of, it screws up the county accounting, because they're used to getting that pay. They take out their fee, we get our fee, whether it's a permit or one of these applications. So if you pay us and they don't know you've paid us, Ty's not closing out the application either, and it's like, this doesn't make any sense.
But you're right, it would alleviate a lot of lost time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, did you just say, Jenny, that we can right now do that with credit cards?
Online.
Well, we can set it up to do that, is what I'm
But you can
saying.
do it online, it's
On the-
online, but you can do
yeah,
that.
on the Marshall
They charge
County
you a
one
fee,
you
but they
can.
let you do credit cards.
Okay.
I think it's a 3%.
For a mild fee,
Jenny, this is Russ Mason. I have a question.
Uh-huh.
When did we start sharing variance fees with the county?
We don't plan commission or BZA, we just do with permits.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood the conversation because I thought he
Yeah,
couldn't
but-
charge with a credit card because it would screw up the county, and that
No.
was confusing.
All of the money routes through them, and we just get a check after they report. So if someone pays us instead of them, it gets a little confusing between the two clerks, whether it's a permit or one of these application fees.
I'm good, thank you.
Any other old business or new business, anybody? Think of? I know right now, as far as Dan, as far as your position from the planning commission on BJ, you know, it's still valid, even though they haven't.
Well, I think I get appointed from this board.
And, oh, that's right, so we can reappoint you, if you wish to do so.
Do I have a choice?
Thank you, Dan, I appreciate it. It's me that's still on the. I still got a chance.
No, I'm only going if you go, Barry, you know that. You're in, I'm in.
I'm gonna say I'm willing, but we.
You will, well,
But we have to
willing
wait, we'll have to wait for the.
Appointment.
No, Jim Clevenger said though that you're,
Come on, Jim.
you stay the members of both these boards until you've been replaced. So even if you don't do an appointment, you're still considered on the
That's getting
BZA.
brutal now. Is that like in perpetuity?
Pretty much.
It's for life. Yeah.
And I know we didn't vote. I don't know if this is a appointment from the president or from the board, but if we take a vote to appoint you, I guess. I make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chester?
Aye.
There we go. All right.
It's official when Chester says yes.
Super unanimous.
Yeah, oh, wow.
And we have no other appointments, so I just wanted to get that out of the way.
Thanks, Barry, I appreciate it.
I didn't want to miss it.
Right, I know that.
All right.
Kind of surprised.
No other new business or whatever. I'll go to Jenny for.
Yeah, I just have two things. I am waiting on the county to produce a report of our end of year final numbers for permits and money. So hopefully we'll have that at your next meeting. I should be at your next meeting because I think I'm going to stick around slightly longer than the February 10th date that I had given them, hoping that they hire someone and we have a smoother transition. I don't want to drop the ball on several projects in this. And the second thing I have for you is the town council approved hiring this role as kind of a new role, which would be a mix of building commissioner would be one of the responsibilities of the person coming in. But we also wanted to try to increase our applicant pool and people we would get to apply, because we've had a hard time getting people to apply for this job in the past. And we want someone also with maybe some planning background or project management planning. And so we've titled this planning, community planning manager / building commissioner. 20, and we made the hours 20 hours a week minimum, but it could be some weeks are more, some are less, because we want someone who is willing to get involved in researching out an ordinance or potentially we in another area. We're doing comp planning right now. It would have been nice to have somebody take more of that on. And we see a need in this office to have a more hours in this position and more expanding into the planning area. So the town council approved hiring it that way. So we're advertising it that way, but we are now officially hiring that position. So.
And that was community planning manager / building commissioner. Okay.
So that's the expansion of what was known as the building commissioners role.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And Ty Adley, we had talked with the county and Ty Adley about potentially having the county take on more than they were. But as Ty is currently short-staffed already, and what he sees happening across the county is several of the people in this line of work are either retiring this year or next year or soon. So you have a building commissioner in Plymouth, you have one in Argus and Bourbon with Chuck, you have Culver's. I'm not sure of the situation in Bremen, but a lot of these people are nearing retirement within his office, the county building, et cetera. So they're kind of looking at solutions for the future and having some meetings related to that, seeing that shortage. And he made a recommendation that we might think about this position a little differently than we have in the past. And I had expressed to him that Culver wants local control of our zoning, of our, we are a very unique kind of situation, I think, and he completely understood that. And he was very supportive of that as well. But he also wanted our boards to know that he is available to help us through a transition phase here with my exit and us hiring someone new. And they are willing to help train someone too on the online permit side of the software. They're willing to work with anyone we hire.
And Ty has always helped me. I have used him more this past time as far as, don't think that because I've been here so long, I know everything, because I don't. And Ty has really clarified to me a lot of things that I was actually doing wrong. Wrong is not really the right word for it, but I wasn't doing exactly what I should have been doing. But Ty cleared a lot of it up for me in his position, but in no way did I ever feel like the county and us should be combined. And and he respected that in every way. He still does. And I mean, I do feel like Culver is unique enough, and we've got enough that we have to deal with, that we don't need more voices.
Yeah, we do a lot of permits, cases among the two boards. I think Ty was telling me in some cases, we have more BZA cases monthly than the county does, so.
I think Dan would agree to that.
I haven't noticed.
We've been here till 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Several times.
I literally
It's
have on
pretty
my
long.
calendar Wednesday night, keep open to bake for BZA.
Oh, really?
I wanted to today.
Thursday.
I usually get between 4 and
What's your
6
favorite?
up
Wednesday?
before
Oh,
this
Wednesday
meeting,
for
and
Thursday,
today I
I
had a
But I
meeting.
say that don't include that with your recommendation to the council.
Yeah.
Will the council then be hiring that position?
Yes.
So that it'll be the responsibility of the council?
Yeah, and that person will report to the town manager.
And has that been advertised then, or is
It's
that?
going out now.
Okay.
Like Karen and I just talked
Is there
about it.
like a link?
It'll be on our website, and
Okay.
then we'll also we usually post it further out. She does newspapers and certain sites.
Okay.
And I have a separate question as far as, since I mentioned it. Should we talk about this between all the members as far as what Dan and I were talking about as far as going to council, as far as appreciation of the boards?
Or
I'm
just
not just saying just blanket.
a stipend,
Yeah.
Right.
or, yeah, I think it's a matter of making a proposal to them. I can take care of that under my town manager report. We could put it on the agenda too, if you wanted to speak on it.
I was just letting everybody else know what's being discussed here.
Yeah.
What's going on?
We're talking about getting a stipend for, per meeting.
Oh, okay.
Like a per diem like a X amount of
So BZA
paid
or-
out twice a year or something.
This isn't it?
It's for
Okay.
kind of like compensation for your time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of
Peterborough
the,
does that, don't they?
Huh?
Peterborough?
Plymouth.
Yeah, county, Plymouth County,
Yeah,
goes on Peterborough.
yeah.
It's been hard for us to get employees, because I think, is it 3 of the seats at planning commission is an employee seat? You've got you, Bobby, and Wayne, and
Right.
two of the 3
Yeah.
aren't here all
Right.
very often, and maybe that would create some incentive for people to step into the role.
Mhm.
Because
Can't hurt.
No.
I know it's
I mean-
hard as an employee to be here all day and then come in this room and have evening meetings frequently. I know Jonathan was starting to get wore on him.
Yeah.
I haven't been around long enough to be like,
You're getting out before kids do that.
There's been times I quit about 8, was ready to resign, 8 o'clock.
BZA this year, we've been here usually till at least 9. One week, we were here till 10:30. And in fact, had I not encouraged a couple of the cases to go this month instead of last month, we could have
Oh,
been
yeah.
here till midnight that night, because I had more that could have gone on that
We
one
might
night.
be there this Thursday too.
And like I asked
We had
that,
it at the school at the time, was one of them, it was late.
well, I asked Bernie if he would do all 3 of these today, because if these had been at your December meeting when you had 415 Lakeshore,
Oh, God.
you guys were here late that night, we would have had these 3 on top of it, because these were already last month, they just agreed to do it this month.
How many times last year that we had our special meetings to compensate because of the timeline? Or-
Yeah, we had
We had-
meetings, but, yeah.
We had, special meetings,
Twice,
BZA and Plan Commission.
yeah.
You know, and it was, you know, like a Dan in my position, not trying to say it's any worse on us than anybody else, but we got a good taste of it that month.
What do
It is
you,
though.
what
It
do
is
you
worse on
feel
the
is a
weekends.
fair
It's
compensation
kind of worse
amount
that night.
for a meeting?
$30.
I was thinking 50.
What do other, are there areas around here where the boards do get paid? What do they pay?
I think county.
Plymouth,
I think most of
They put an
100.
advertisement, they
County's
put-
700.
and I know used to, I
You need
mean,
to make it significant or it's not gonna make it.
we
I
had,
think you're probably right.
right, I know, used to, I mean, I don't know if Sharon did, I know Casey was clerk.
That's why it's-
She used to attend meetings, the planning commission and BZA, and she was compensated so much for your meetings too. At that time.
I guess what I'm curious of is if we start getting compensated financially for it, does that put us in a little bit more precarious situation, like when somebody wants to sue us?
No, because it's not, we're not on the payroll.
Okay, we're just,
That's the reason it's not considered payroll, it's considered,
I would not recommend doing this with redevelopment commission.
No.
Oh, yeah, no.
Because that can be tricky with.
well, because they actually have a
economic
budget to work with, so that's why,
and we used to too, but not that we got any part of that budget. We used to have a budget as well, and that's for annexation and for the building commissioner. And all that was actually on the planning commission budget. And we actually interviewed and hired the building commissioner and fired him, so was that so needed, I should say, which you did. But everything's changed, whatever, but I mean, at that time, we weren't, you know, nothing coming out of budget for us or anything like that.
yeah, but you still have a coffers to work from.
Yeah.
Because that's where, that's where I thought the permits and stuff used to go, is like for a building commissioner and a coffer,
It did go for the building commissioner.
but now it's
That's
just
like
getting
to
absorbed.
compensate for the money, yeah.
Yeah.
But we didn't have the money for.
We
it.
collect enough right now on permits to cover building commissioner
Yeah,
salary. Okay,
But I agree with the more hours for a building commissioner anyway.
So are you advertising that, is it a salary position or is it hourly position?
it will be, hourly position, 20 hours a week,
Minimum.
potentially more, but it won't be a full-time position
Is that-
at this point in time.
Is that per contract?
Yes.
Contracted per lady.
You're contracted as a part-time employee, like, you're brought on as a part-time employee.
Right. They usually, I mean, is it yearly,
Yeah.
whatever, is it just till you see that it's another job?
Right.
I guess I misunderstood this whole
Yeah,
thing. This is just for the building side of things. This isn't like what you're doing right now,
Per call.
double juggling as town manager and building
Yeah,
commissioner.
that town manager will be hired separately. This is just for this role.
Okay.
Prepping, like, part of the job duties are preparing the BZA, the plan commission, processing permits, answering residents' questions regarding permits, potentially doing planning work. So, for example, when we were doing a comprehensive plan, that person could be helping to organize and facilitating those meetings along with MACOG. that person could have been instrumental in when we did the stellar plan. When you do a grant, that person could be helpful. Okay. We wrote the skill set to, we wrote it as a list of skills to handle these duties. Some of those duties are building commissioner and some of them are more about planning, but we also want someone we can cross-train.
But that also seems like you're taking a fair amount of like, what is the new town manager going to do then?
Oh, man.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Hey,
attention. Jenny, thank
You
you.
know, you
Hey,
can
thank you.
take that hour someplace else, right?
Yeah.
It's
All right.
explanation.
All right.
Sorry. You opened up a can of worms with that one.
And again, it's a part-time position. It's,
I don't have a gavel.
Yeah.
We're gonna move on. You're gonna be your building commissioner report, I assume. Citizen input, we got,
Just real quick, and it kind of relates to what you've been talking about with the county stuff. I would like you guys to consider making the TRC discretionary on the building commissioner's option, because there are times when they need it and there are other times when they don't. It became a question for me where my permit got held up because I'm putting a wall inside of the Edgewater or the lake house now. It doesn't affect streets. It doesn't affect anything outside. It doesn't change the use of the building. Any of those things didn't happen. So if it could have been a discretionary thing where Ty could have just said, this doesn't require a TRC.
right.
It'd
And
been done.
we've got places in there that are exempt from needing one, but without taking and trying to put a full list. I know what you're saying.
But that's why I'm saying if it
Right.
could be put to the discretion of the building commissioner, either ours or if it's gonna stay at the county, make it at Ty's discretion, because a lot of that, he knows what he would send to the county's TRC. So if he wouldn't send it to the county's TRC, does he need to send it to
I
your
don't know
TRC?
that he really wants that authority.
Yeah, and I don't know that I.
He always
county
pushes
takes
it back
the
to
authority
us
either.
and it
Okay.
really, he should push it back to us.
But it doesn't, but again, it doesn't happen. That's my concern.
I know what you're
It
saying,
takes
yeah.
too long for those
But-
things, because it was held up for 3 or 4 weeks. It's just
Yeah.
sitting there.
Right. And I mean, in my opinion, the TRC is supposed to expedite things. And it seems like it's not being used in the purpose that it is. And my question is, because I mean, I know we've got it in ordinances under state requirement, whatever, you know, it's written up. But we operate without TRC for years. Do we actually need to have, do we have to have a TRC?
In my opinion, the TRC should be at the discretion of the building commissioner when he needs or she needs help. It
Right.
shouldn't be an automatic thing.
It shouldn't be what requires a TRC.
Right, it should be,
On paper.
it should be a situation where if Jenny gets a permit that's going to require something that involves the streets, okay, she may want a TRC meeting in order to pull in Bob, to pull in the county surveyor or somebody else. But if it's not changing the use of a building, if it's a commercial thing and it says in there it needs a TRC, it doesn't really, if it doesn't affect anything outside of that building.
I mean, I think what you're saying and what I'm getting out of this is right now, in ordinance, if it involves L1 or PUD or commercial, then it requires a TRC meeting. But you're vague in the whole thing, you're capitalizing L1 or
Right.
PUD. I mean, even a PUD goes, but,
Almost every time a
But-
PUD is gonna need it. I don't
It's gonna
see the
need
question there, but L1,
but a PUD is what I was 100% for as far as TRC. Because it does expedite, it does help move it along.
and I didn't
What
want to
you're
drag this
saying,
out
yeah.
tonight, but I wanted to throw it on your
No,
pile
no,
of things to
I
discuss. when
agree
you're talking about
100%,
the
because in my mind, the TRC has been holding up a lot of process. And, I mean, Jenny and I, you know, we were looking at as far as even the demolition on L1 requiring a separate permit. It had to be a TRC minute showing that
Yeah.
it was even addressed.
It's overkill.
And so we put that in there, it's exempt now, you don't have to have that TRC meeting for the, you get it when you come build a new building on L1 anyway. I mean, permit comes with it.
My recollection when we set it up was that it was, in thinking about commercial and PUDs,
Right.
that it was set up to help expedite these meetings where you're gonna have really complex
Right.
building and multiple structures
Exactly.
and
You're 100%
so,
right.
yeah, to help the, lay people who serve on the planning commission really understand and have some expertise, so, as opposed to every little thing we have to go through there.
Right.
I don't recall exactly why we threw in L1, but,
Because people.
Because there's so many, there's a lot of issues with
Not
that
issue
one.
with that one.
And the building commissioner at the time, Chuck,
Yeah.
wanted some support on those things, which I'm
Yeah.
fine with when he needs it.
Right.
But even he would have said he didn't need it on everything.
Right,
yeah.
but
I just want it considered when you move
Right.
forward. I just want to throw it out there
Yeah.
for conversation.
and
So
I think,
put it on your
I
list.
think you got a good point. I mean, I think we maybe look at the requirements for what needs to come before the TRC as far as NL1. I mean, PUD, I think it's just about what it is. But when you're looking at L1, and I know you and talking 5 or 6 contractors at least, they go through the same issues. And there's probably some things that we need to either.
Well,
eliminate or maybe-
and I would suggest that either it's at the discretion, it could be a combination where it's at the discretion of the building commissioner and the applicant. If the applicant feels there's an issue that they would like extra input, then the TRC meets too. Then it can be kind of those things to cover their bases. If the building commissioner is saying one thing and they don't agree, then they may want that other input. But it's when it becomes something silly, like you're gonna put in a retaining wall in L1, you gotta have a TRC meeting. Okay?
Right, what kind of block you put, what kind of stuff you put.
Yeah, and I'm building a wall inside of a building, reducing the square footage of the use of the building, and it's not a bearing wall, it's nothing. Why does the TRC, why does Bob get called into a meeting that's the street department head for a wall inside a building? That's silly.
Exactly. I mean, to me, there's a lot
I
of
would
things that,
consider that the renovation, which is an exemption on that list.
Yeah.
I would,
But it's not an exemption in the program is the problem, because it gets held up.
that's because.
oh, yeah, in the
That's what
software,
I'm talking about.
yeah. You would ask me and I was
Yeah,
like, yeah, that's a
It's just
renovation.
right over the top, straight line L1 and then it goes TRC.
We could probably have that written in, but you're
So you
absolutely
You
right.
could either rewrite, providing for that, and I like what you said as far as the building commissioner actually has his discretion to see
But there
whether
should
he
be
can
an
release
option in the software where I could have gone in, click, don't,
Right.
TRC not
Well,
needed.
and we talked about that before, that whole thing, we
Yeah.
talked about it at the BZA.
But
Because
we
right
don't-
now, at first,
process
it
is
But
you-
right now, we don't have that in writing that we can do that, just like, we kind of got.
Well, it's
a little
also
bit of
not in the
trouble.
online system.
No.
I have to set a meeting date with him, then he has to go back and
Yeah.
pay and, well, in that case you don't pay, but,
Just
yeah.
like the property-
I think I can take care of that one,
Just like the property on the South Shore.
that you have in it.
And Ty comes back and said there was no TRC meeting for this, You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh,
And if we had that in there, that would be under your discretion or your position's discretion.
yeah. Well, and the
Then it would
thing,
no longer fit, it wouldn't red flag Ty.
it's not written in the software that way currently, but I think they can put that in. It's a matter of adding an option to a drop-down menu. Because that drop-down menu
Yeah.
right now is setting a meeting date. You could have one of the options be no date needed.
It's like
I'll talk
right
to him
now, there's
about
a
it.
problem with it right now, because if I do a commercial project, it won't let me go any farther until I put in the state permit. Well, I didn't need a state permit for that wall. So it
Right.
becomes this whole issue of
Right.
dragging things out, because I had to get him to sign off on it and go through these things. It's,
No,
the software sucks.
And you brought this up, and we know pretty much what we're looking at. I would like to see what other opinions are here, but we can put this on next month's agenda to address this very issue.
well, this one I think I can address
And
with
that's
Ty,
cool.
and find, the software was written in the county's workflow. This software is capable of a lot more. We weren't writing in the workflow.
Right.
We had Chuck and Ralph Booker representing us in that workflow, but, those sorts of issues didn't come up. It should have been someone local, someone
Right,
like
but you
you.
still have it in black and white in our ordinances, though, that's requiring the TRC under the L1.
Well,
I'm
and
just
sometimes I
saying.
feel like you guys don't realize, because you don't do it every day,
Yeah.
And
Right, right.
If I don't bring it up, you don't know.
I mean,
so.
that's what you're for.
Well, and
Maybe you
even-
should be compensated. as well.
Even in his case, our ordinance
Take away.
would exempt him from TRC. That is a renovation, it's already exempt, but there's no way to make the software confirm that form so he can move on with his life
Right.
and get this project done.
Right, but it's not in the software, but it's still here.
Right, I can get it in the
Yeah,
software.
because you can get it in the software, but if it ever comes back on us, I mean, we still need,
Yeah,
because I mean, we're doing
yeah,
it
if you,
anyway.
if you want to change other things with TRC, you do it in the
Yeah.
ordinance, but maybe the three biggies for you guys for the year of changing ordinance would be PUD, TRC, and your new industrial zone or academic building zoning.
Institutional.
I like that.
Yeah.
Those could be your next three. And institutional, I can talk to Ty to see if there's samples of that type of zoning.
Shane,
Okay,
what
no
is it?
Shane, or-
Does Chuck have anything in his records at all? Because I
Well,
mean,
Ty-
we went through a whole lot of stuff on that institution.
I was serving on a subcommittee with 3 other people who are no longer here, but on creating institutional zoning. So we had 2 or 3 meetings.
Who was on it? meeting?
Boo,
Oh, that's right.
Chuck, and I want to say
Chester.
Jonathan.
No, Jonathan.
I want to say Jonathan was involved.
Can you get any headway?
Well, I thought we did. I mean, we took a look at,
Oh, making great headway. I mean, I've had all the paperwork.
we were taking a look at other other towns' institutional zoning and
I mean, they were looking, I know, like Purdue and,
Peru, Kokomo.
Well, then, were there files, like, did Jonathan do some research? I could probably find
if you
it.
look under.
I could go back and look at my stuff and find out what I had.
Ty made a presentation to us from a number of sources. That's before you came on.
Right.
Yeah.
So he has,
So maybe you
we
just
had-
need
We had
to
addressed
pick up
Ty
where they
with
left
this,
off.
and Ty was saying there are other places, he was giving us information as well. But he was saying that we said,
Wow.
I can do some research. I've been able to find lots of Jonathan files,
Okay.
just in his inbox.
I'll take a look and see what I have in mind.
I mean, I've had to find files all year.
With knowing dates modified, though, like what dates?
Now, you can search, the network and even I can search his inbox for
Okay.
institutional zoning, or the word zoning, and
Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be a lot.
I mean, it could take some doing, but we can, and I can talk to Ty.
And I know I saved some stuff, and I remember we were meeting when we were still wearing masks. So,
Yeah,
oh,
exactly.
We had to be masked
That
up. when we-
explains
I'd
why
spend
it got
3 and 4
dropped.
hours a night to put the mask on too, you know?
That's probably why it got dropped with COVID, kind of put
And
us
then
stalled.
It has
a bit.
really, I mean, it's affected us in a lot of different ways. I mean, finding out how much it is now here.
Mhm. You're the only one remaining of that 4.
Last man standing.
I wasn't on there just because I already had everything else going. I was asked, and I was trying to ask everybody else, so.
Well, I'll see what we can find on that.
um,
Y'all are getting me a list here.
I know, well, you're gonna be staying a little longer.
Just make sure you put all those files in a nice neat thing on the desk as you.
Uh, Any more citizen input? I went through a lot, didn't it?
Sorry.
I mean,
Pretty good.
But
I
no,
would
it was
leave
good
it
point.
sound manageable and just.
I mean,
come
when it
to
comes
your
down to it, I mean,
assistant.
The reason I was asking you for it, because I think if L1 was taken out of the TRC requirement altogether, I think it would be better.
Yeah.
Because it would give every one of you guys a lot more input as far as what goes on at one. Because there's houses being built that you don't even know it.
I guarantee you I don't know.
I mean, honestly, and for a planning commission not knowing what's put on lake property over here, that's a big one.
Yeah.
We've had, just because we didn't know it, there was 2 houses built on the same property over there. We had no idea. We couldn't stop it. So we didn't know. But anyway. Huh?
That's right.
It didn't go before TRC, no. That was before we had TRC.
No.
But I'm just saying, cases like that happen even when it goes from TRC, but more information if it comes before this board.
Agreed.
You know, we know everything at the TRC has got the information from us. is ask the right question, so that's just another thing thrown in there. As far as commission members' concerns and input, we pretty well covered most of that, but if anybody has anything to add, Chester?
Yes,
Yeah, if you have anything to add, as far as any commission members' concerns?
yes, I'd like to say, and I think I speak for the Plan Commission members also, thank you, Jenny, for your service, dedicated service to the town and community. And sorry to see you.
Chester. Thank you.
Thank you, Chester. Anybody else have anything real quick, whatever, important? I'd love to hear them.
As long as she comes back next meeting, I don't have anything.
Yeah, we'll give her the send off next time, right?
Okay, yep.
Yeah.
I'll bake a
Are
cake.
you baking the cake?
We'll just keep saying, we'll do that next time.
Yeah, next time.
That way you get what you want.
All
I'll
right.
just be showing up for the hell of it. Have some
I entertain a motion to
Yeah.
adjourn.
I motion that we adjourn.